I have to tell you, watching the breakthroughs in AI that we are seeing, they are astounding, the speed at which this is moving.
Right.
So it is interesting. I think it's a data issue. Autonomous taxi platforms are the biggest AI project in the world, and therefore we think Tesla. Well, whenever it goes up, it was up about 150% relative to our other names, many of which had not moved. So we will always recycle that way, take profits. And I would also say, listening to Elon on the last conference call, he's very concerned about the economy, as we are.
Cathie, will I look outside 5 years from now and see GM and Ford EVs everywhere? With this new way, I don't even know if we'll be talking about GM and Ford in 5 years.
What is interesting about the news that both of them are pulling back for profitability reasons, they can't be profitable in this space unless they scale. That's how this works.
That's the catch-22.
So it's catch-22, and their shareholder base is very internal combustion engine oriented, and they want their profits now, and they want their dividends now, and they don't want that kind of
investment. So how are they going to do it?
Losses.
Will they be able to?
I don't know. All I know is, back to the Tesla question, as they are pulling away, our market share expectations for Tesla go up.
Right.
You know, and so to answer the question, we sold as it was up 150% relative to everything else. We have not sold much since then. And it will, if we're right on this autonomous taxi opportunity.
And then, of course, you've got Tesla designing its own more special purpose chip. He wanted NVIDIA's GPUs. If you listen to the shareholder, the shareholder meeting that Elon just had, he did say, he said he was ramping on Dojo, had all the admiration for NVIDIA, something like that, all the respect for NVIDIA. But, you know, I think he thinks he can do this. We're talking about AI, you know, really permeating everything we do. So it'll cause a boom. That's a real growth boom in those. There will also be creative destruction, we think, caused by innovation. Our forecast is that electric vehicles will go from a little more than 10% share of sales globally, including China now, to 75% of sales in the next 5 to 7 years. What does that mean for the internal combustion engine? You know, 90% of sales are ICE, gas-powered cars. Well, if electric vehicle prices drop into the $18,000 to $20,000 range, what are they going to do? They will have to price down, but then they will lose money. I found it very interesting that 2 to 3 earnings quarters ago, Elon said on one of the earnings calls, these AI chips, NVIDIA is so good, it's so hard. I mean, I think we're going to get there, but it's hard and it's going to take a long time. And what do you know? He got all the NVIDIA chips he wanted, then even more than he needed, sends them off to XAI. And I don't know if you noticed this, but just announced about 6-7 weeks ago that it has started production of the new Dojo chip. So, Dojo, the competition will be Dojo, all the hyperscalers, and NVIDIA's client base is very concentrated. Their cloud margins are lower than NVIDIA's margins. And I am sure they're going to say at some point, there's something wrong with that picture. They're and they're all designing their own chips.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you've got Tesla designing its own more special purpose chip. Tesla becoming the marquee auto manufacturer here in the U.S. I think he'll rally around that. Trump he's very practical. I think Elon has learned that no publicity is bad publicity, and he's just out there effectively advertising himself and therefore his cars. These other companies, Google, has 1,000 cars collecting data? Tesla has 5 million, 6 million cars collecting data around the world. Don't think so. You need real world driving data to figure out the corner cases that simulations have never seen. And so having met him, I feel like I know him in a way. He cares so much about humanity. It's a big weight on his shoulder to save us from ourselves environmentally, and whether it's prevent censorship or whatever. He is a very good person, and I realize he says crazy things, and he is a little Trump-like in some ways, because what I say to our investors, I watch what he does from a technology point of view. He is so laser focused, more than any CEO. And the other thing he has going for him that I don't think very many CEOs have going is he's a maestro of the convergence among technologies that is taking place in this technology revolution. Robotaxis, or autonomous taxi networks, are the convergence of robots, energy storage, and AI. Most people, when they think of a company like Tesla, they think of autos.
Sure.
He wasn't thinking that way at all. And I think he's capitalizing on, the convergence among technologies, and will continue to do so in a way that is going to surprise people, I think. So for my own, we have to, of course, do our due diligence and make sure that, that the management is strong and intact and has the right kind of incentives and all of that. I think a lot of what he has done and been rewarded for is this thought that no publicity is bad publicity. And so it gets everybody talking and up in arms, but he says what he really thinks.
Yeah, fair.
There's conviction there. So again, we just have to, and we regularly have calls with the management team around more so than Elon. Right? But we do meet with Elon from time to time. I don't like to meet with CEOs too often, just because we need to keep objectivity, and really the business people around him, who are executing, have to have their leadership.
What has to happen is an autonomous taxi platform, Tesla's autonomous taxi platform. So Robotaxis, which is a SaaS-like model. Instead of selling a car and maybe the software package, and that's it, this becomes a recurring revenue model, a slice of every mile driven on that autonomous taxi network. Very high margins. Right now, auto gross margins are around 16%. Gross margins in the SaaS world are more like 80%. Well, this is the largest AI project on Earth, autonomous mobility broadly. And I think it's going to catch on as quickly as that. Now, of course, what we've had during the last 10 years is a movement toward FSD. Regulators understand, and they do, that 85% of all traffic accidents are caused by human error. If you take the human out, you're going to make the roads
Cathie,
safer.
we listened to the Secretary of Transportation yesterday, Pete Buttigieg, about this, and he did sound like he was open to the idea as a result.
Yes.
And that's the first time I've really heard a public official who's kind of embraced it instead of saying, wait, we don't like the rise of the machine.
Absolutely. He is telegraphing that the roads ultimately are going to be much safer if you take the human being out of the equation. Much safer.